Good morning. What we've got today is a little review of the new shotgun that I bought. This one is in 20 gauge and it's a Hatsan Escort Magnum. I bought this one initially for my son to be introduced into clay pigeon shooting. It's a very nice little gun, so let's have a little closer look at it, shall we? We'll start at this end. Lovely butt pad. I like the design there, and it's really very effective. Not that there's a great deal of recoil with a 20 gauge anyway, but nevertheless it does the job, and it's quite attractive to look at, I think, personally. Very nice wood. Again, pistol grip, lovely checkering, nice and thin. Safety is across the trigger finger, just under the trigger finger, as you'd expect on one of these. The receiver is black on this one. It does pick up a few marks when you're using it, so you have to be careful not to knock chunks out of it when you're loading your shells in. I've spotted that straight away. I don't know whether it's just the coating that it's got on it or what, but I did notice that it's going to be getting knocked if we're not careful. The bolt is pretty much the same as the Hatsan A612 in the way it operates and certainly the way it breaks down, except the difference with one of these between the Hatsan I've got is the magazine cut-off, which is a useful little feature. I wasn't too impressed with them to start with until I actually used the gun, and then I sort of can now appreciate the usefulness of it. For those of you who don't know, basically what that does is when you do that, it stops the magazine from feeding any shells into the chamber. You can use that as a safety feature, I suppose, but I think it's mainly designed so that if you're, I don't know, perhaps you're going rough shooting or walking up shooting, excuse me, and you've got bird shot in, and then all of a sudden you see a fox and you've got some larger shells, you can just cut the magazine off, drop another shell of the appropriate load, etc., and fire that one without using the magazine. So that's quite useful. The fore end, again, lovely checkering, nice pattern. I like this diamond effect pattern, really good. Ventilated rib as you'd expect. Got a little fibre optic bead on the front and the screw-in choke. Thing with these chokes though, same with any choke really, but this one in particular, we need to make sure that they're tight. Last thing you want is them coming loose. And the thing with these is you can quickly just check the tightness with your hand during proceedings, rather than having to get a tool out to check whether it's tight or not. Bearing in mind, of course, that the gun should be unloaded when you do that. You don't want to be putting your hand over the end of the muzzle. So let's have a quick look at how you take it apart. So as always, the bolt is back, safety's on, and the gun is empty, safe, and it's clear. So how would I take this apart? Exactly the same really as the Hatsan A612. The other difference between this and the Hatsan is the way you release the bolt. On the Hatsan there's a button there that will release the bolt, but with this you just push the chamber, the riser there, like thus. Take off the cap, and the barrel and the fore end pretty much come out together. Now, on this one there's a little, you can see that, there's a little rubber O-ring. Don't lose that. If I don't think it'll fire properly without, or won't cycle properly without that. So we need to keep that safe. Gas piston. Now the rest of it, obviously we have to do the same thing as we did with the armstand, which is to actually get out this bolt charging handle, which can be somewhat tricky, but not on this occasion. And then out comes the bolt assembly on the carrier. We'll look at these parts in detail in a minute. Take out the carrier and the spring, and there we have it. That's as much as I would do again for day-to-day cleaning. There are 2 pins on this one which you can knock out with a little punch and a rubber mallet, and the whole of the trigger assembly will pull straight out for cleaning, but I probably wouldn't do that very often. Okay, so let's have a little look at the bolts. Nothing special, I suppose. Same as your average bolt. The hammer, where the hammer strikes there, and the firing pin at the other end. This is the extractor that extracts the shells. Now I did have some concerns about the armstand, if you've seen the previous video about magazine capacity, etc. That's been rectified now, thankfully. However, this one, exactly what I was talking about in the other video, if you can see there, it's actually crimped as well, so you can't get any more shells in there if you wanted to. So that's the part that I was sort of concerned about on the other one, which wasn't there at the time. And so that's that. You can, I suppose, take this off and buy a replacement magazine tube, one without the crimp, should you have a relevant license to do so. So it's quite a light gun as well, and it's ideal for my little lad. He's only 13, and he's had trouble trying to shoot in my 12 gauges. Not because of the fact that they are 12 gauge, but more to do with the pull length, of course. The pull length on my 12 gauges are something in the region of about 14 and a half inches, something like that. This one is about, I think it's about 11 inches, 12 inches, this one. Obviously it's shorter. I do have spaces in there, I do have spare spaces to put in there to make it fit me, should I want to take it out hunting. But let's put it back together. Okay, putting it back together is just the exact opposite of what it was to take it apart. Put the spring on, and bolt carrier. I'm going to do this so you can see it on camera. I'm sure everybody knows how to do this. Goes in there, and on the bolt, and the bolt on this one, you have to put it in like that and then slide it back, so because it springs like that. The other one doesn't. And as you can see, it coming back like that. The little extractor bit comes up there. That slides in there, and then we get our charging handle and replace that. Let's see if this goes back in as easily as it came out. Somehow, I doubt it. But then I could be wrong. There we go. Nice. Replace the barrel. This is where I'm, if anything, this is where I'm likely to scratch the receiver in the action. Yes. Let's try putting the gas tube on first. Gas piston, should I say. And the rubber ring, not forgetting that. There we go. And foil. Again, making sure it's seated. Which it is. And the cap. Just finger tight, doesn't require any tools. Nice and tight, but not too tight. And then we have it function check. There we have it. The Escort Magnum from Hatsan.